Welcome to the LiftKit Marketing Podcast. As you can tell, we are actually here in person together. This is the first time in over a year since we came to Grand Rapids, Minnesota, which is where we are right now, and started talking about the concept of launching this podcast. So we thought we'd get together and celebrate that 1 year with a little bit of a recap. So like I said, we're in beautiful northern Minnesota, Grand Rapids, which I don't get to all very often, but Danielle, this is where she lives. You get to eat, breathe, take it all in year round.
It's gorgeous up here, so come visit. Home of Judy Garland.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, we have a museum.
And we're at a brewery too, which I should note because I do like to visit a brewery whenever I'm traveling.
Yeah. Same. So, well, John, it's really nice to have you here and I'm really excited. And we've had a really great year of interviewing tons of people in the marketing space. And I think what we set out to do was to lift up marketers. And I feel like we've really accomplished that.
Yeah, we wanted to create a podcast that recognized people for doing great work in marketing, not just another how-to tech showcase kind of podcast, but something where we really tap into the human element of marketers because they all have really interesting backstories. And it was so much fun. I think we're about 20 episodes in. And like I said, it's been a year and the diversity of our guests and the stories of where they've come from and everything they've been through has just been really inspiring for me and hopefully for our guests as well.
What started the conversation between us was that just how many marketers are struggling. What we saw, we had friends who had been laid off for more than a year. And we were just talking about how competitive the space is to get a job, and also just how marketers are the first ones to be fired when there's something that doesn't go right, and how just hard the industry is. And also just recognizing that, there's not a lot of places where you can just be recognized for doing a great thing, because you usually can't do a brag and say, hey, I increased the revenue by, 15%. Like those are things that people don't want shared anyway. So it's kind of like a challenging department to, marketers can't market themselves always.
Yeah. Yep. And we know as marketers, this industry, it's a grind and it feels like it's constantly reinventing itself every quarter, every year. There's new trends, new tech, new things coming along. And to me, that's what I like about it is it's a never ending journey of learning. It's really hard to put yourself out there and say, I'm an expert. I know everything about marketing. It's just, I would really question anybody that positioned themselves that way. And by talking to all these people, the guests we've had and even each other, I continue to learn more and more. And so, it's a grind. This is an industry where people are constantly moving positions. They're deciding whether they go off on their own, whether they stay with the company. Where do they want to double down on in terms of technology and their specialty? Do they want to be a generalist? There's so many aspects of it that they wrestle with. It's a roller coaster. And this is the part of the roller coaster where we celebrate the wins and we capture people when they're on top and they can tell their story and bring it out to people. So we've just had a lot of fun and thanks for joining our journey for sure.
And today, what I think we're going to just recap like our highlight that we've had this year for our first year anniversary.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's also been a few bloopers too, right? Like I remember, and anybody that's done a podcast, you've run into this for sure. Like we had Levi Warts, which was a phenomenal episode. We had his fire alarm going off in the background. We weren't sure if it was getting picked up and he had to go.
His house was on fire.
His house. Yeah, we had to check on that. So that was really funny.
It was his wife was baking cookies or something like that.
Yep, exactly.
Uh-oh.
Oh, fire alarm.
My wife's baking. I'm sure something got
wrong.
Yep. And then what was another one?
Well, one time you abandoned me. We were talking to Brooke Weller and all of a sudden you disappeared.
Yeah. And you guys just kept rolling with it without me. And,
you were gone for like 10 minutes.
Yeah. But you'd never know. But from my end, my Wi-Fi went out and I thought, the whole episode was going to get wrecked.
From a small company to a $10 million company and sell it. So that's a whole amazing road that I'm going down and
But no, it worked out fine. And then there was one other thing.
Well, speaking of like episodes getting wrecked, we have one episode where you're not going to see any video.
Yeah. Sorry, Morton. Yeah, Morton Revsbeck. It was a great episode until we finished and I realized I was only recording audio.
Yeah.
So my bad. Thanks, Morton.
And that was when, but go listen to it. Just put it in the background because that is such a informational episode.
Really most podcasts are just audio.
Yeah, right.
So the fact that you got most of ours with video is a bonus.
Yeah.
I did go back and just take a look at some of our guests in terms of how well they've done in views and streams and thought it was kind of fun. So from a YouTube perspective, the top 3 were Stephen Pruitt. Yeah, great episode. Agency owner out of Atlanta.
What I liked about Stephen, if we could just talk about it quick, is he had a great story that he went to film school and his professor made him take like his best work that he was super proud of and throw it in the lake.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And just to prove to him, you can't be too attached to your work, right? That was like the moral of the story.
Yeah. And then another popular one on YouTube was Andrew Eklund, who was one of our first ones. But Andrew's just got such a great story. We could have him on 2 or 3 times and get 2 or 3 different versions of just every stage of his career, which is 30 years of owning an agency. And that agency was always in a startup kind of mode. So he never let the dust settle there and just kept evolving the whole time. But go listen to it for sure. And then Jessica Graeser always has amazing things to say. She was at Ninja Cat and now she is at Reflex.ai. So Reflex.ai is really interesting because they're using AI to help train and simulate real life situations. So one of their biggest industries, and they've got this environment for lots of different industries, but one is the mental health industry and training therapists. So think about role playing with a teenager, which is actually an AI that's struggling with certain issues
to help the therapist.
Yeah, because you can't always.
Do they have a parent version?
Yeah, maybe that's the next one. Yeah, you could go in and like role play some scenarios and go into a situation completely prepared. Really cool. We'll probably have her on again to hear more about it, but that was a popular episode. And then we also did a lot of shorts on social media and some shorts really took off, like Morty. He had so many great little clips coming out of his episode and we turned a lot of them into shorts and they all kind of took off.
My cheeks were hurting during that episode because I was laughing so hard because there's things that he just says a lot of really wild, funny
so much
things.
Energy. And then Serena Christensen had some great tips in terms of career advice.
Yeah.
And the one I remember was changing the font on your resume.
Yes.
So that the AI LLMs can pick up on it better. The font was Calibri.
Right.
Yes. So there's a great tip. And then Levi, who we talked about already, he had a lot of popular shorts as well.
Such a smart person. Like, I think I could sit with him all day and just soak it up.
Yeah, the one thing I didn't realize going into it with him was that he lives out in Montana.
Yeah.
But he actually created one of the first AI environments for the DMV in Montana, and he just did it as a hobby. So that's pretty cool.
No promotion.
Yeah,
on that.
that's right. He didn't get a lot of credit for it. So that's why we had him on the show.
Yeah.
We lifted him up for sure. And then as far as overall podcast streams, Carter Jensen. This is a guy that left his corporate gig and gambled on an AI startup, which now is a complete rocket ship. So he left General Mills to work for a woman named Callan Faulkner. I would definitely check her out. She does a lot of amazing things in terms of AI training for both individuals.
Instagram famous and LinkedIn famous.
Yeah. And now Carter's a part of that team and they're just growing and growing. So we should get him back on again.
And the best thing about Carter was that wasn't the first time he had done that. He also quit his job when his friend came to him and said, "Hey, I'm moving to Australia and come with me." And he got a job flipping burgers.
Dropped everything and went with them. Yeah. And then Jessica and Morty, again, showed up a lot on the podcast stream. So those are some great episodes if you want to go back.
I'm really proud of the work that we have done this year. And I didn't really know what to expect, but I feel like there's definitely some themes that we came with. And I wasn't expecting to learn so much from the podcast and from our conversations, but definitely some themes that emerged. What do you think?
Yep. I think there's like 3 or 4 that really stood out. The reinvention theme for sure. people, navigating the space and either reinventing their brand or their agency's brand or their specialty.
Or their career.
Yep. Actually, it was Morton that talked a lot about sales and marketing and
smarketing.
Smarketing. Yep. Which was a common theme, just how these two groups work together. I really enjoyed that one. And then I think there was another theme about building a personal brand, career pivots, human stories.
Something.
And some lessons learned.
Adrian Dolan, we haven't talked about him yet, but he quit his corporate job.
Yep, he's another one.
Right before COVID. And that really threw him into, what am I going to do next? Yeah. He's running an SEO agency now, and he's really at the forefront of SEO and AI. Yeah, his agency's doing really well. Definitely check him out. There's a lot of people talking about AEO and GEO. He really understands that space. We also talked to Michael McBride, who talked a lot about that as well for e-commerce businesses. We talked to some companies that doing things more at a niche. Callie, she was another one, and she was doing more of like construction businesses and auto. Yeah, love her story. She gambled, left her job, but within 6 months she had recouped her agency salary plus. Yeah. So she wished she'd have done it earlier. And I think a lot of people realize that once they do it, once they get through the hardest part of it, they reap the rewards and wish they'd have done it sooner. Yeah. There's a lot of opportunities in marketing. Sometimes you just have to create your own path. And we definitely had a lot of conversations like that. There's tons of great advice in the podcast that speak to if you're interested in starting something new. Yep. Or making a change. The other theme was building personal brand. Yeah. And that was, AJ led the pack on that one. AJ Kumar, what a great story he's got to tell. Yeah, here it is. I definitely recommend it. It's really great if you're interested in creating a personal brand. This is the playbook on how to do that. It's just a fun read. He has a great story. So AJ Kumar definitely led how to build a personal brand. Yep. And you had another book that you purchased from one of our guests. The Marketing Growth Formula by Heidi Hattendorf. Yep. This is, if you didn't get an MBA or go to college for marketing, start here. She is very in the weeds with a go-to-market strategy. So if you're like, what is a go-to-market strategy and how do I do that in my job? Yep. This is the book. Very good. Thanks for bringing those. Yeah. And thanks for making those purchases. I'm sure they appreciate it. That's the part that I really didn't expect is how much I was going to learn. And there's so many things that I remember in the first episode 0, we talked about this, where the average tenure of a marketer is 1 year and 8 months. And we also talked about a study that said that CMOs are actually being replaced or removed. Many Fortune 500 companies don't have a CMO. And so the role of a marketer is actually really being changed and threatened a little bit. That was the thing that I didn't expect. If you feel like, am I the only one going through this? I promise you're not. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, this has been fun. I hope you guys enjoyed doing the little recap with us. Yeah. Like I said in the beginning, we've had a lot of fun doing this. I've probably got like 10 or 15 guests already lined up for the next year. So we're putting out episodes maybe once, twice a month, and that could pick up as we continue. But it's been a lot of fun. Thanks for joining us today. Like and subscribe and share it with your friends and send us feedback. LiftKitMarketing.com. You can reach out to John or I on LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram, Danielle the Marketer. You're on Instagram. Yep. And LiftKit Marketing's on Instagram, YouTube channel, and Spotify, Apple Play, wherever you're listening to other podcasts, we're there. Yeah, we really appreciate it. If there's somebody that you feel like deserves a shout out, reach out. Thanks for joining us. Cheers.